We are excited to talk about peer mentoring today. My name is Sally Flashberger, and I work for the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities. And we have been working with some providers and some self-advocates on peer mentoring and doing a pilot. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Then we'll hear from our great partners in this about peer mentoring, and then we'll do an activity. But today we're joined by Sean Erke, Emily Savage, Kate Norby, and Christy Schundeman should be coming in at some point too. But we're going to do a little panel discussion as we get going. We have some materials, so if you're just coming in and there's not enough at your table, just raise your hand, and I'll have one of my helpers over here, Kate, give you materials. The most important is probably the activity we're going to do at the end. All right. So, do I have a clicker? I don't think I do. All right, so I'm gonna, one of the projects that I work on at the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities is what's called the Living Well Grant. And we have had this grant that we've been working on for the last 6 years. And we worked with, it was a 5-year grant to really focus on home and community-based waiver services, so family care and IRIS, and looking at the health and well-being of individuals with disabilities. We worked with 8 service providers around Wisconsin, and we had 10 self-advocate leaders, so people with disabilities helping with our peer-to-peer education and then moving into our peer mentoring. And so the peer mentoring was kind of this offshoot of the work we started, and we've been doing a pilot now for the last several months, but we've really been working on it for a couple of years. Hi, Christy. All right, so a little bit of background on peer mentoring. So again, as I said, we received this grant, and as part of this grant, we implemented peer-to-peer education, so that's kind of where we started. We have several different, we did rights education, we did Healthy, Safe, and Connected was one of our curriculums we developed, our Safe and Free curriculum, and so we first started by just doing peer-to-peer education in groups. But we found that individuals really were looking for a little bit more of that one-on-one interaction, and that they were seeking out the self-advocate leaders or talking to the providers about, oh, can I talk to that person individually and get some help for myself? And luckily, we had several of the service providers who were really interested in pursuing the peer mentoring. So we currently we were working with 2 of our managed care organizations, Inclusa and Lakeland, 2 of our service providers, ODC and Aptive, and that's not right, 2 of our self-advocate leaders. We have many more self-advocate leaders. We have 5. 2 are going to be here today talking about the peer mentoring. And right now, peer mentoring is not a service that you can receive in family care or IRIS. So we have been advocating strongly to either fold it into other services that people already receive, like consumer education and training, daily living skills, community day services, or just day services, and not necessarily as a separate service. But we hope someday it will be its own service in our family care and IRIS systems. But we've kind of been working around that right now. So the purpose of the peer mentoring program is really to allow individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities get support and mentoring to reach their individual goals. And so a lot of those goals are around community inclusion, independence, participation, And the part about the peer mentoring is it comes from other individuals with disabilities who have learned experience. And so training those individuals to be able to share their own personal experiences of success, encourage and be able to support other individuals to advocate for changes in their lives. So what is a peer mentor? So we worked with the Michigan Developmental Disabilities Council. Yes, great pictures. We have great pictures of our self-advocates. So we looked at different models across the United States, and we really kind of settled on what Michigan had been doing. They had been implementing peer mentoring for about 10 years. And so a lot of this information, they really helped us along the way to kind of define our program and look at our program. So a peer mentor is someone who is making their own choices. So they've had success in their own lives to make those choices. They are able to advocate and problem solve. And so hopefully that's a skill that they take and work with others. They use their knowledge about services and resources in the community. So as we talk about this pilot a little bit, we have found that it's really good to have a person who's working with an agency who lives in that community. And being involved in their community. Are they involved in activities? Are they involved with their church? Do they have a job? All of those things. And Special Olympics. Are they involved? So are they involved, and can they help others figure out how they can be involved in their communities? And then we really are focusing on people who have developmental disabilities as the peer mentors, and that are able and willing to share their life experience. So the peer mentor role is really about connecting, encouraging and supporting, preparing, building, and planning. So really, we think first about connecting people to those resources. That could be public benefits, housing, transportation, advocacy, and the peer mentor really works in connection with the service provider. So the individual may say, I'm interested in these opportunities. They work on a plan, and then the service provider helps the peer mentor and the person put these into reality. Encourage and support. And so many times people just need that encouragement to maybe take a step that they haven't taken in their lives and to kind of take control, really think about what they need to do to change, and then helping support people to develop a plan. And we're going to work on our own plans at the end here. Preparing them for their person-centered planning process. So when they meet with their family care or IRIS family care case manager or their IRIS consultant, are they prepared to talk about what they want in their life and make sure that their plan is theirs? So another area where they can help the individuals. Build those bridges to other people and other resources in their community, and also be a positive, trusting relationship that they can count on, and that they can build that working relationship so they can feel comfortable with the person to bring kind of what they're scared about, what they really think they're going to need to be successful, maybe moving into the community. And then planning, it's really all about the plan. So creating that plan, updating that plan, what do they need to do? Maybe they reach one goal, but they're still interested in some other goal. So developing new plans and getting through those. All right, services that a peer mentor might be able to help with. So obviously that connection to resources. So if somebody needs to know about transportation, if they need to know about employment, the peer mentor is not there to necessarily solve the problem with the service. They're not a direct service professional, but they're there to have the conversations that the person maybe hasn't had in the past. Help them build job skills, explore or find a community job, again, they're talking about the goal, thinking about what they want, and then helping them find the service provider that can help them out with that. Help with independent living skills and moving towards independence. Understanding our transportation systems, because we know that can be complicated. Those connections to recreation and community participation. We talked a little bit about that person-centered planning support. We envision that, if an individual feels comfortable, they may actually ask their peer mentor to come to the meeting with them as a support person. I always think about, as a parent myself, about IEP meetings and how you need somebody there. And, I think that can be a role for the peer mentors also. And then I think the biggest is really supporting that development of self-determination and self-advocacy. I think that's what we have seen a lot in with our grant through the different peer-to-peer education, and that people really are wanting to develop those skills and may not have had that opportunity in the past to advocate for themselves and tell people what they want in their lives. And so this is just another step that they can take with the peer mentor to really be confident in those skills. And so using the peer mentor to start to have those conversations, but then being able to take it, whether it's to a family member, a guardian, a service provider, whoever that might be in the community, and feeling confident that they can use their voice and be able to get what they want in their life. All right. So I think the interesting thing here is, we hope that as we move along in this process in the next few years, that we are also finding new people who want to be peer mentors. So not only could you have a mentor in your lives, but maybe you want to be a peer mentor. And so we're really hoping through this work and the continued work that's going to happen, that we're able to train more people around peer mentoring in the state. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So, and also why you as a person with a disability would want a peer mentor. So again, we've talked a lot about these things. So it's really the impact that somebody might have on your life. So as a person who wants peer mentoring, you can get support for the needs and services, get those connections and friendships, really have that sense of ability to stay engaged in your communities, having those social connections. I think that's so important. And, it starts with the peer mentor and them mentoring you, but then it really goes from there. And we know that people who have been involved in peer mentoring show decreases in social isolation and loneliness. And so it's really that initial building of changes in your life. Okay, sorry, I skipped. Now, how can you be a peer mentor? It's one of those things where you think you've read the PowerPoint and then you're like, oh, well, I wrote it. Wouldn't I know what's in it? All right, so if you're in this room and you're thinking, well, I have a lot of skills that I could pass along to others. I live in the community independently. I could tell people how to do that. So this is for you if you're thinking, I might want to be a peer mentor. So you have to be at least 18 years old, so no high schoolers. Well, I guess you could still be in high school at 18. Have an intellectual or developmental disability. You would have to attend our Peer Mentor 101 training. So the Wisconsin Board for People with Developmental Disabilities, our goal is to provide 2 trainings a year. We have been using the Michigan training model, and we have made it's our own Wisconsin training. After you go through that training, and it's kind of a process. I think what we learned is several people, we had, I think, 8 of our self-advocate leaders who worked on the grant go through the process, but not all of them wanted to move on to the next step. So the training is free. It's still a great training. You learn a lot about self-advocacy and how you can be your peer mentor. And then the goal is then you would complete a 90-hour internship at a service provider. And so that 90 hours includes that actual direct work where you would actually be peer mentoring about half the time. And then the other half you would be doing some professional development. There's a lot of paperwork. Well, there's not a lot of paperwork, but there's paperwork and there's other things that you do. And again, that is a paid internship. So it's was very important to us that anyone who was pursuing this would be paid during that internship. And you would have the opportunity to participate in additional education, to broaden build up your skills, learn more about your particular community if you need more information. And so just a really great opportunity. So we do see it as not only something to build your own self-advocacy skills, but also a pathway to employment. So I think that's what's really important to us, is we see this as a job, and an important job that can be happening for people with disabilities. All right, so some of the skills that you need to be a peer mentor. So you have to be willing to help others build their own independent lives. And so this is really about you working closely with somebody, not telling them what to do, but giving them that support. Be able to work together, work well with others, and again, not just tell them what to do, but be able to help guide them in what they want. Educate them on their individual rights. So we did a lot of rights training through our grant, and so you would need to understand about the rights in your life just like anybody else, and be able to let them know how they can assert those rights and get support. That connection with people in the community, that's just going to be so important. Being able to use empathy. So, there's this difference between empathy and sympathy. So sometimes we just feel bad for other people. That's sympathy. But empathy means you understand how they feel. You maybe yourself have felt that way before, and you're able to help them from a place of caring and not feeling bad for them. Working on making circles of support. And so if you yourself have been good at that in your life, so who are the people around you that help you? How have you worked on making your circle a little bit bigger? So do you have community members that are your friends? Do you have a faith community? Do you have a job? So that is an important piece that you have possibly experienced in your own life. Being a good listener, because a lot of this is going to be about listening, not necessarily about talking. And so learning how to be a really good listener, and then being able to set those boundaries. I think that's very important. This peer-to-peer mentor relationship is not necessarily a friendship. It really is to be there as a support. So being able to really know about boundaries, and these are all things that we teach as part of the peer mentoring. Do I have an extra packet? Yes. This lovely lady will. Oh. All right. Yeah. If you don't have any stuff, raise your hand. We may have some extras on tables. No, but there may be extras. You're welcome. All right, some of the other skills that you need. time management. So you may have to organize your time, set up appointments with the people you're mentoring, know what days you're available. Organization, there will be some paperwork and forms to fill out, and this will be a service in our Family Care and Iris system. So the providers will actually bill for this service. So there are some requirements to be able to give them some information so that they can actually bill for this service so they can get paid. A willingness to learn, so there's always going to be something new to learn. You cannot know everything as a mentor. You only probably are going to come in with the experiences you know. So like any job, you're going to have to be willing to learn new things. Having social and communication skills, so really being able to hold a conversation, and thinking about somebody who's come into a situation and they've never done this before, they might be quiet. They might not know what to say. And so as a mentor, you really need to kind of bring that out of the person and try to keep that conversation going. I think that's probably one of the things. Well, I think we'll hear about that from our from the people here who are doing it. Good kind of planning and problem solving skills. So when somebody comes in and they're trying to figure out how to, they want to live independently, they're trying to figure out how to, maybe they want to bring that up with their parent. What skills do you have to help them think about that, problem solve, be able to plan that? And then understanding technology. So I'm just going to say this is one of the biggest things that we learned. And so I think we are looking very closely at that, of what type of support individuals need, because we don't want people not to be able to be a peer mentor just because of technology. So what we found is, just like any job, there are lots of online systems. You have to put your time into a online system. You might have to put your notes into an online system. You have to do trainings that are online. And so we want to be sure that people have access to technology, that they understand technology, and if they need support for that we're building that in when we get started, whether that's through job coaching or extra support at the providers. But we want to be sure that people are very clear that that is a much more, I think before COVID, we probably didn't have all these systems that we do now, and we definitely have seen a change. Did you want to say something? You look like you want to say something. All right, so the service provider role. Do you guys want to take these, or okay, you good?
Yeah. So as a service provider, Kate, you are more than welcome to come up here too. I don't want to speak for both of us. First step is hiring a peer mentor. So being able to interview and bring on those peer mentors to find the right fit for your organization. And then provide supervision and support during the paid internship and employment. So, supporting them through that onboarding process, training, and then getting into planning the peer mentoring sessions, maybe guiding them through what things to talk about or maybe what questionnaires to use, that kind of stuff. And then support the peer mentor with ongoing professional development. So at Aptiv, we have a whole slew of trainings to do, I should say, when you get hired. And so that's part of it, but then also, continuing that education as things go on. Recruiting participants who would benefit from peer mentoring and matching the peer mentors. This is the fun stuff. This is the good part, my favorite part of this. I really enjoy identifying some people that would really enjoy this, or maybe talking with others that, hey, this is a new program that we're offering. Is this something that somebody that would like to do it? That kind of thing. So that's been really fun. And then also matching those peers or the mentees to the mentors, and that's been nice. Work with MCOs and ICAs to promote the reasons why peer mentoring is a beneficial service in the peer-centered plan. equally as important as finding the peer mentors and the mentees, maybe not as equally fun, I would say. Work with the MCOs and ICAs to identify people who would benefit from peer mentoring services. So similar to before, talking with case managers and saying, hey, this is a program that we have. Is this something that, do you have anybody that would benefit from that? And then assure all training, documentation, and other contract requirements are met for this service, which is now reminding me, Christy, I'm not sure if I put in your record for last Tuesday, so got to do that. All right.
Thank you. I'm Kate Norby, and I'm actually from another organization, ODC, in central Wisconsin. And it's been really cool to be part of this peer mentoring experience. I got involved in long-term care in 2006, and in 2008, Self-Direction and Iris were coming to be, and people were buzzing and saying, I don't think very many people are really actually going to use that. And I was sitting in a table in a boardroom thinking, y'all crazy, because everybody's going to want this. So, it's been a really fun journey, and I see peer mentoring and the ability to help people, because, okay, it's all right that we have programs and ability to self-direct and be self-determined, but if people don't have the support to really get clarity on their goals and the steps they want to achieve, or have the confidence to speak up, we can't get as far as we really want to go. So peer mentoring is a really great tool on this journey, and a very, very important one. I do want to say that unfortunately Tina is not here today, but she is from Stevens Point, and she is a peer mentor right now, intern with us, and Emily is as well, and Christy, and you'll hear from them in a minute. But I did want to mention Tina. She had a family emergency, and she would have been an awesome resource here today. So hopefully you meet her in the future. One of the things that we do as an agency is just help explain what it is, and a lot of people get confused because services overlap and they are confusing, but this is a very, very unique service. And we can really talk with parents, guardians, care managers, and other people who maybe have questions about how is this different, how could this help, is this safe? You're going to talk about independent living. My daughter, son, brother, sister, maybe doesn't have what they need to live on their own right now. So just talking through some of those things and how peer mentoring works so that people feel more comfortable with the process. It is flexible, and that's something, people are used to sometimes routine. So it doesn't have to be one time a week for 1 hour. It could be every other week. It could be, based on a person's already busy schedule. Some people have jobs and other things that they're also needing to accommodate. And then just to share some success stories. I wanted to share just a couple experiences that I've had being involved with the mentor interns, because one of the things we get to do from the agency, and I say get to do because it's awesome, is sit in and listen and help with the introductions and observe the first couple of meetings and get to know people. So what I've seen so far that's been very powerful and meaningful to me is the identity piece that our peer mentors with lived experience and can bring to the table for some individuals who are very uncomfortable with being identified as having a disability, or maybe lacking the opportunity to experience things like People First and other resources that will help them feel part of, very proud and part of and confident in who they are. So that has been a very moving experience for me personally, just helping people speak up and get clarity on what their goals are, because living independently is a huge idea, right? If you're living at home or relying on a lot of support, but really helping people get clarity on what that means to them, and then helping them break that down into some steps that they can take to achieve that. And then, let's see. Oh, I just wanted to mention to this group too that we're all in at ODC, and I know Aptiv is too, because we applied for some more resources so that we can continue to support peer mentoring as we figure out coding and payment and all of the necessary our friend Kathy used to call it sausage making of the system, and all of that behind the scenes stuff. As we figure that out, we don't lose momentum of growing the program. So we have a goal over the next 2 years at ODC to have 9 peer mentors working in central Wisconsin, and that we will serve at least 40 individuals throughout that process.
All right, I think we're going to transition to our little panel, I'm pretty sure. All right, if you guys want to go up there, would that be okay? And then I'm going to see, are there any questions before we kind of get into this panel discussion? I'm just going to use the mic.
Yes. So I'm very new to this. And so if I were to want to do this and I go through all the training and stuff, I mean, and I get hired, would that then affect my SSI or anything like that? Because I know that they are very, very picky on how much you earn and everything, so.
That is an excellent question, and we would encourage anyone to go through benefits counseling around employment. So there are lots of opportunities and options for people to be working and receiving benefits. So our state has a way that you can purchase your Medicaid. So when you have like SSI, there's several different opportunities to keep your Medicaid. SSI has some programs, the state has some programs. So I think that is an important piece to consider. So before you would maybe enter into a situation like this, you might want to seek out benefits counseling. And you can get that through your long-term care. You can also get that through the Division of Vocational Rehab, and they will pay for that. Good question, though. We always forget to talk about that because sometimes people are afraid to take the opportunity because of that. Any other questions? All right. So as I said, we have all these great people here to talk about their experience, and I'm just going to let them introduce themselves as we go. All right. So the first question, do you need the questions? Yes. Here, I'll give you the questions. Well, you got all the materials. All right. Let me see if I have one more. Are you guys good? Okay. So who are you? What organization are you from, and how did you get involved? How did your organization or you get involved? So I'll start with Sean. Oh, you did.
My name is Sean Erke. I work at Aptive, which is located in La Crosse, Black River Falls, Wisconsin, and also Janesville, Wisconsin, but I am based in La Crosse. And how did we get involved? To be quite honest, I got brought in after we were already involved, so I'm not really sure those logistics, but my supervisor came to me and asked if this would be an opportunity that I would be interested in, and I took it, and I said absolutely, so I was so excited for that.
Hi, I'm Christy Schooneman. I'm working with Aptive as a peer mentor. How did I get involved? They said, like Sally and then said, hey, we need peer mentors. We think this is a really good idea, and would you be willing to work with these agencies? And I jumped on the opportunity.
So you've been working with
Yes, I've been working with a grant. 5 years.
My name is Kate, and I'm from ODC, and we serve how many counties, Julie? And 22 counties across central and western Wisconsin. And I got involved, if you know Julie Stren, she got me involved because Julie is involved in everything. So Julie is part of Living Well, and ODC has been for a while. So this was kind of a natural flow into peer mentoring.
I'm Emily Savage. I've worked with the lovely Sally for 5 years along with Christy here. I am with Kate at ODC, and I'm from Madison.
All right. I'm just going to flip my slide so you guys can see the. All right, so I'll start back with you, Emily. Why did you want to become a peer mentor? And how does your own lived experience help in this role? She has no.
I am helpful to build an individual's lives and their life skills to increase my leadership and the person I'm working with leadership to make a change by being with the person so they can speak out as well. So,
Same question.
I wanted to become a peer mentor to give my lived experience and help people maybe going through similar situations, and how I got through the triumphs, the pitfalls, and maybe help them get through those as well.
So why did your organization want to include peer mentors in the services?
So, like I said, I got brought in after the fact, but if I had to imagine, it was just because this is a huge opportunity and huge gap in services that is new to Wisconsin. So I think that we've discussed it, but I believe that ODC and Aptiv are the only Wisconsin organizations offering this service. And so I believe it was just kind of a discussion, and Aptiv said, heck yeah, I'll do that.
ODC got involved, well, because it was a natural progression of the living well and to help bring a needed service to individuals in our communities. But I also would say that ODC hasn't shied away from trying new things, even though they're very challenging sometimes to work through. How does that work? I mean, we had the best ideas about how that onboarding would go, and oh my gosh, was it harder than we thought. So, and did we learn and adapt and kind of move? So I think ODC is always willing to take on that extra challenge of trying new things and figuring out how to make them work.
Emily, what are the most important skills you need to be a peer mentor?
your listening skills, being patient, leadership, as I mentioned before. So yeah, I just want to make a change in Wisconsin for hopefully making the people I'm mentoring to be self-advocates and speak out themselves.
To be a peer mentor, it's really important to just listen to your mentee. You're not, like we said, we're not there to tell them what to do, but we're there to guide them in how they want to get to their dreams. And really just believing that they can achieve those dreams and giving them that confidence.
What systems has your organization put in place to be sure peer mentoring is successful?
So kind of like Kate said, that we did learn through all of this that we were not prepared to begin with, but I would say now we have a stronger idea as to like how to best support peer mentors, but also the mentees. So one thing we haven't set in our organization is just like there are certain roles within my role that I do, and then like the peer mentors do their thing. So they do documentation. They're facilitating the meetings. I can help support those. I can help schedule those and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the meat and potatoes of what peer mentoring really is, the mentors do take that over, which I think is really cool to see. I can provide support and guidance and all that, but it really comes down to helping them form that really strong relationship with the mentee. So.
Sorry, Christy. Yeah, just to add to what Sean said, I would say just being available to the peer mentors, meeting with them regularly, addressing concerns, learning from them what's working well so we can build upon that, of course, is really important. But it's challenging for people who work a smaller amount of hours within an organization and who may not live in your same community. So how do we stay connected and help somebody who lives in Madison feel connected to me when I live in Stevens Point and we don't have the opportunity to meet each other in person a lot? So that's some of the supports we put in place have been to just build better relationships and structures of support.
What, same question?
What do you like most about being a peer mentor, and how do you think it helps people you are mentoring? And I know you're not.
Yeah, so I'm not currently mentoring at this point. We had somebody, and it just, whatever was too much in her life at this point. But I actually, if I can backtrack a bit, I did a mentor in person and on Zoom with Love Dane at one point, but now it's Love Inc. With the lovely Lauren and Alyssa. So unfortunately, they both have left at this point, along with their Bridgewater, Virginia. So there's been changes going on. And I also lost my Iris consultant. Anyway, it's been a journey, but it's all good. So back to the question. So I like hearing other people's life stories, and I did want to also speak to the fact that I've until whatever, like the last 3 years or something, before the last 3 years, I would think that leadership means talking. It actually does not necessarily mean talking, like we talked about before. Mentoring is about listening, so that people can learn to, like I said, have leadership skills and speak out about what's important to them.
How do you think it will help the people you're mentoring?
So to gain their individuals' life skills and, like I said, to speak out and hopefully be leaders in some way themselves. So, and to join possibly any of the things that I've done over Wisconsin as well. So, yeah. Back to Kate or Christy?
So what do you like most about being a peer mentor, and how do you think it helps the people you are mentoring?
I think being a peer mentor, I like most just listening to my mentee and knowing what their dreams and goals are and how I can help them get to that point. What was the second?
And how do you think it helps people you are mentoring?
Oh, it helps people I'm mentoring, again, giving them confidence, the ability to speak up, practice and telling their story, and telling about what their disability may be and the kind of accommodations they would need, and getting really comfortable in just telling their story.
All right. How do you work with the peer mentors to provide support for them and the people they mentor? You kind of answered that, but maybe.
Sure. Yeah, so both of or I should say, 2 of the 3 mentors that we have work virtually. The other one does live locally in La Crosse. So that has been a challenge, similar to what Kate was insinuating, that it's hard to build that connection with somebody who lives hours away from you. And so, having those meetings and just having the conversations and keeping the communication as clear as you possibly can, keeping them updated along the way. Because when Christy started, we didn't have any mentees for her. So it was a kind of a waiting game for us to get the authorization process all figured out and all that kind of stuff. So just staying connected, giving them those updates as they come, and then the people that they mentor. So a lot of education and advocacy for the program is really important. So saying that this is what it's for, this is how it helps, this is why it would be different than what they're already receiving, and how they can still achieve this similar goal. So that's been a lot of things that we've come across is well, they already have a service for that goal that they have. I was like, well, I do multiple things for my mental health, so why is it any different from somebody else? So there's just different types of ways to advocate for those mentees and to ensure that the mentors are also set up for success.
Another nice thing about the way the BPDD has sort of structured based on the Michigan model and then put some tools in place has allowed us through the internship process to have some actual written tools that we use, and we can support preparing for the meetings, we can support reviewing how the meetings went, giving feedback on those things, and that's just another in the moment as our peer mentors are still in internship, getting a lot of support and feedback on how they're doing, and so they also can gain confidence through the process.
All right, and our final panelist.
I mean, I think it's just I'm just gonna expand on what I've said, I guess. I do want to say that the things that I was referring to about other things that people in Wisconsin could join. So the Wisconsin Youth Leadership Forum with Jenny Newgart, who is here, and then also Partners in Policymaking, which is Sally and Jenny. And then, I mean, I've been here for the last 3 years doing this, so that's another thing as far as being at this conference. And I guess, what else? I mean, I guess just to gain their leadership and to just feel more confident about the things that are important to them. And I guess for some people, it's actually to like have goals. I mean, I guess for some people, like, I don't know, you just like wake up one day and these are like the goals I want to work on in my life. Like that's the kind of how I like did my life. I mean, I actually like the whole thing of like helping others actually started like probably 3 years before Living Well stuff. I just naturally at like love large events. I would just like go talk to people, and then Alyssa came up to me one day, okay, like would you want to have people come in your home and you can like help them with some skills and stuff. And then this road began with Sally and doing the mentoring stuff. So just to see other people's journeys and what they can gain in their lives. So
Thanks, Emily. I have been working in long-term care for a long time, so maybe consider myself an ally, and I can help people to some degree. But I think where you gain a lot of insight and support to really continue and build the life you want comes from peers, and it comes from people who understand you and have some shared lived experiences. So I can only support so far. I think peer mentoring is very important so people can get help from individuals who maybe have some shared experiences and resources and learning that they've done to share.
People should use peer mentoring because people with disabilities, I feel often their support groups or like their support network is like their parents, teachers, people who are more adult than them, I guess, older. Where using peer mentoring, you're talking to someone who is closer to you in age and has just been through what maybe you're working on. So they might know from a different perspective how to help you.
It's hard to go after all three of these. So I echo what they say. But also, I just think it's really important for others to have the individuals that they can relate to and they can connect with. And kind of like what Christy was saying, too, about practicing those skills of advocating for yourself, even talking about your disability and learning more about that and being confident with that. I think that's one of the best benefits from peer mentoring is that self-confidence and that self-advocacy. So, yeah.
All right, I'm going to see if there's any questions from the audience before we get to our activity. Any questions? Sure.
This might be a two-parter here. So my first question is, how many mentees does each peer mentor have? And how long in the scope of this program does that relationship last that would fall underneath this program? I mean, because obviously even if they move out or they become peer mentors themselves, can they still keep this relationship?
Good question.
The scope of the relationship lasts, I think, as long as they feel like they need support. And even, I feel like if you help them with one thing and they come back to you and say, oh, now I need to work on this, or I want to work on this, can you help me with that? Then the relationship continues.
How about based on the scope of you getting paid? Oh.
Ooh.
So right now, everyone's in an internship process. So they've gone through the vetted training that Wisconsin has adopted because it has to be this service will require that. So in the internship process, peer mentors are required to complete 90 hours. 45 of those hours with direct mentoring, one-on-one with an individual, 45 hours of other activities that they're doing for learning and part of the, growing and all of that good stuff. So what we are doing to complete it within a reasonable amount of time, we're working on that reasonable amount of time, is we just approximated each mentor would work with 3 individuals to get those 45 hours within maybe a 6-month span was our hope or goal. And then knowing how services get authorized in managed care and IRIS, being on that, in managed care being reviewed every 6 months, it could be evaluated if there's a need to continue that service. So that's kind of the breakdown on the math during internship. It's yet to be seen how that will continue ongoing.
So I would agree with Christy about like whatever, if you help them with something, then they come back and ask for something else. But I guess another thing would be like if they like, you suggest like going to something that, whatever, that for leadership or whatever, an event of some sort, and then they come back and say like, wow, I did that. Or even like if they just need to like gain skills for talking to a teacher or telling their parents something that they want to have changed in their lives, and they come back and they say that. So those aha moments, as we would call it.
I think the one thing that we wanted to do was make it flexible. So if somebody wants to work 10 hours, that is a possibility. If they want to work 40 hours and we have enough people to be mentored, that is a possibility. So I think this is part of this discovery process. And again, I think, yes, one of the challenges will be the continued authorization. So if you have somebody go through mentoring, they work on one goal, but now they have a new goal, will they be able to get that authorization? So that's one of the things we'll be testing for sure. Okay, now I got a lot of questions. I'm going to go to George, and then you, and then you.
This question is for the mentors. Whether it's in your training or whether you've actually had the experience around dealing with a conflict between what the mentee wants and some of the other people in their support circle, i.e. the guardian or the parent, because I can imagine that would be one of the most challenging things to have to address.
So I don't know if anybody wants to answer that. We did have a question. I mean, we did discuss this recently because we had thoughts on it. Do you want to? Well, he wants to know what happens if there's a conflict between the person you're mentoring and the guardian. So it might not have come up yet, but what have we kind of talked about?
I go to my supervisor, Sean, and go, how do I? Or I go when we meet as a group, and I go, what do we? So I have this issue, like.
Maybe talk about how we talked about upfront. No, give it to Kate. We had a conversation.
If Tina were here, she could actually do a great job because she's been working with 3 individuals so far and has had that come up. And one person she's working with lives with her parents after some major health setbacks and things, and is frustrated. You know, it's wanting to get out on her own and maybe has some different ideas of what that means. And Tina's really doing a lot of awesome work, helping her work on the things she can work on now and take the steps she can work on now to make that independence possible for herself, rather than honing in on, do my parents think I'm ready? Should I do this? But really helping her own the things that she can do now to work on those things. And the other thing we did talk about, because this is coming up more and more, what is the role of everyone? So if the peer mentor shows up for a first meeting and a parent's there, okay, that's awkward, right? Like, who am I listening to? So we just talked, and Emily, we had that situation. So we just talked about, just use the first meeting then as a meet and greet and talking about people's roles and how they want to support this, because we can't make assumptions. sometimes the parents are like, please help my kid move out of my house, you know, like help them speak up. So like we don't know what the intentions are of any party, and we can't assume that they're there to try to speak over the person. They might be the biggest advocate for the person speaking for themselves.
I do think, you know, our intention is that it's a one-on-one. And so we did talk about too, like that upfront conversation as somebody's coming into peer mentoring, if the, you know, to explain, you know, the goal of this one-on-one situation.
So for the 90 hours, is that like for a week or for a month? Because you can't really do 90 hours in a day.
I can answer that. It's over, we intended it to be over about a 6 to 9 month period. So that is kind of the goal. It really, but obviously because we were new at this, that did not quite happen.
So I myself, my name is Amber, by the way. I currently attend a day program 5 days a week. So if I wanted to get involved with this, would I be able to still do that program, maybe scale it back a little bit, but then still do the mentoring? Basically, can I do both?
Yeah, I would say yes, but I'm going to ask a provider what you would do in that situation because I don't know.
So we have a couple participants who are receiving peer mentoring, but then also are in our services up to 5 days a week as well. And that's where the flexibility in scheduling is so important. So like Christy has somebody that she meets with after they're done with their day program. So they meet in the afternoon, and then same with another individual. I'm gonna connect them like while they're still at the building, and then connect them with the peer mentoring. So there is a way that both are still possible. You just have to work around a schedule. So yeah.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, let's give a round of applause to our panel. So we have about 15 minutes left. We wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of experience a little bit some of the planning that our peer mentors are doing. So we have a individual working plan on the table, and we wanted to give you some time to kind of look at that and write down, and this is everybody, you don't have to be a person with a disability, write down, kind of go through it at your table. We'll give you about, I don't know, how about like, I'm just looking at the time because we're done at noon, right? Yeah, okay. Give you about 7 minutes, and then we'll see if we have anyone who wants to kind of talk to us about their plan, and maybe our peer mentors will give you some suggestions. So I'm gonna just set a timer, give you about 7 minutes to look at that. If you need help at your table, just connect with somebody at your table to help you if you need some help writing or whatever that might be. All right. Is anyone done and wants to share their plan? We'd love to hear what you wrote on the plan. No? No? Awesome.
Some of the goals that on the personal center plan that we want to work towards is community, using your voice, expressing your own feelings, socialization, and a career. Yeah. The first two goals that we all want to work on are using our own voices and just being in a community. And the first steps towards our goal, we only got 2 of them. Knowing what's important in life and overcoming your fear. Things that we need to work on before the next meeting. Remaining calm as your goals progress, you got to remain calm, cool, calm, and collected. And learning to be more vocal and with the interpersonal skills.
That's awesome. So it sounds like they worked together. So they all kind of discussed what they were interested in. So this is the kind of thing that a peer mentor would do with you. They would help you walk through, and I think it's good because did you see they had like a bunch of goals at the top, and then we're like, okay, what really are the most two things you might want to work on, and then I think it's always about that action, right? What is the next step you're going to take before we meet? Anybody else want to share? Any other brave souls? All right.
One of my goals is to pray to God. And the first two goals I want to work on are be a disciple of God, and to be a follower of God, telling others about God, and to serve God, and to follow God. And I put God first.
See, that's what's great about this is it's very individualized. It's really about what's important in your life, and someone, and maybe the peer mentor is going to help you with that. Maybe they're going to figure out what church you might want to go to, or where you can do that great work. Thank you for sharing.
Hi, my name's Amber again. My first one was from the goals from my person-centered plan I want to work towards with my peer would be to, with communication with my support circle, being flexible with change, getting involved with programs of both physical and mental health, and also becoming a peer mentor. The first two I want to work on are flexibility, because we all know everything changes. The second one was getting more involved with physical and mental programs, and also getting funding for it. Like, for instance, right now I do have a therapist I see once a week that helps me to, sort my feelings and all that stuff, but I want to get involved with the why and stuff like that, so I can go swimming and just get more exercise in my life. And then the first steps toward doing those goals are to find a plan B when plan A doesn't work out. And then finding out about other possible ways I can meet my goal for getting involved. And then communication with what I need. And then the last one, things I need to do before my next meeting, is to find out about different exercise and mental health programs, through my circle, try to network and everything. And then just talking with my support circle about what I need so that we're all on the same page.
That was awesome. So I think those were 3 really great examples of how you would be working on a plan and you'd have the peer mentor being able to work with you. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. And this lovely lady over here has information. Oh, you did? Okay. Okay. So there are evaluations on the table. If you can fill those out. If you have CEUs, there's also a secret word. So do you have that? I think so. Oh, maybe there's not. Maybe there's not. Usually there's a little thing in there. Okay. Also, if you're going to the DHS listening sessions, there's no reason not to add peer mentoring to your comments. Thank you so much.